Hello, welcome to Higher Ground Gaming. This is Eric. Today we're going to do another unboxing of a game we just purchased. And it's a game called My Village. It's by Inka and Marcus Brand and produced by Stronghold Games. And also eggertspiele, but mainly by Stronghold Games. And this is a game that is not really a sequel, but a spiritual successor to the game Village. Has a lot of the same mechanics, but it does have a lot of the different mechanics. Probably a little bit more streamlined, a little bit. And this one is a more focusing on, just like it says, My Village. It's like building a village on your own, as opposed to like Village, which is more of focusing on building a family and within your town. But anyway, both very good games. This is again by Inca and same designers, Inka and Marcus Brand, husband and wife design team. And without further ado, let's get into this game and check it out. So, all right, see if I can get you to read this here. All right. So an entire new chapter opens up in the Village Chronicles as each player leads his very own village to fame and fortune. You start with a small farmyard and one villager in each of 5 professions: abbot, councilman, traveler, craftsman, and merchant. You improve your village by adding buildings and fields, pushing on your travels, and attracting customers and monks, while time ticks steadily away. Every now and then a villager passes away, leaving his profession unoccupied. And even though you can train a descendant to fill his shoes, soon you have to neglect some areas and focus on others. My Village is a standalone game that is set in the same cosmos as the award-winning Village board game. It joins familiar elements with fresh mechanisms and will enchant new players as well as experienced Village fans. Alright, so there you go. One of the new mechanisms, as you can see on here, it's going to have dice in this game. The original one, did not have dice in it, at least not as many. Yeah, I don't think it did. And the boards, it looks a little different. This is your player board, and these are things you build around it. This is, you can either go on exploring, you can build different things of production, factories. You can sell stuff through a merchant, and then you can build your church over here, and this is a city councilman, and then a farm. So it's, different. It looks a lot different too. Also, this uses story points right here, which end up being victory points. So the person with the most story points at the end is actually going to be the winner, and you get story points too through these building these other things too. As you can see. All right, so let's take a look at the inside of it. This is a fairly cheap game as far as like expense goes. It was less than $25 on Amazon, so it's definitely very affordable. The original Village game is a little more, well, it's actually twice as expensive. It's like running about $60 on Amazon right now. But again, that game was an award winner. This game is a good game. I like it just as well. I mean, I haven't played the original one, but through the videos I've seen, it looked like it was a fun, engaging game just like the original. Maybe, like I said, a little bit more streamlined. All right. Alright, so let's take a look at what's inside here. So we have a rule book as usual, which gives an idea of the components. So you have your main board, your village boards, your like player boards, your headman in each color, 4 colors. Time markers, and time goes by interesting in this one. Time is very important here because after a certain period of time, everything you do costs time. And that's sort of like the timer in the game. And whenever a certain amount of people pass away, that ends the game there. I think in a 2-player game it's 9 people, 14 people in a 3-player game, and so on. You have time markers, so you got to be careful of time and stuff like that. You have your die here. The white die are just your normal die. The black die are the other die you take, but you take them at a penalty. You take them at a penalty of 2 time if you choose one of those. And then you have a rat track, which is this takes place in the medieval times. So there was a chance you could have a disease in the plague. So when the rat pretty much finishes its track, which I'll show you, you could potentially lose some of your story points, your victory points, if they're not secured. You have a Grim Reaper in here, which comes across every time you cross a bridge. Someone will pass away, and you have to account for that. See, scoring pads, story point markers, and the resource management in this game is very interesting. It's very streamlined, where these black markers can count for anything, depending upon where they're placed. They can account for gold, they can count for a worker, they can account for, let's see what else, trying to think of what else there, a student type thing. So there's various goods and various other things. So you have a starting player hand. That's you're gonna have the palm side and the back side, in which you can determine as the first player. And in this game, you have to purchase that in order to become the first player through a series of moves. So overview cards, which are very nice player aids. And then 104 village cards, 4 church cards, 8 field cards, 12 monk cards, 19 travel cards, 4 council chamber cards, 20 craft building cards, 4 meeting cards, and 33 customer cards. So lots of different stuff in this game. So very nice rules here with everything, lots of nice pictures. Showing you the game setup is a little involved. This is kind of like an example of a game setup down below here. We have everything here. It's a recommended setup, so you can see everything. And no matter how many players you're playing with, you're always going to see all the cards. Well, all these cards right here, and these will come out. These are the trade cards and stuff. They'll come out after and replenished after they're taken. But these cards will always be out there, and it's different. You'll notice when I go to set it up, well, I won't set it up, but I'll show you there's different die rolls on these. And these are the die rolls you're going to get in order to trigger your actions. So very dice dependent on there, but there are ways to modify your die and everything, so it's not totally luck there. And it gives how you start it. And taking your turn as usual. But again, there's some nice examples and everything. I've watched a few playthrough videos on it, and it seems pretty easy to teach and everything, to learn. And then you have your village cards, what they each mean. Different actions on them. Church cards, travel cards, and so forth. Your monk cards, which you're building a church and everything. And your council chamber cards. And then finally on the back, it's the end of game scoring, which is nice to have all in one place in the back. So it's a little involved with the end of game scoring, but it's not too bad. So that is it right there. So a nice 12-page rulebook, not too big, but just enough to tell you everything. And here we go, my favorite part, the punch-outs and everything. So these are your gravestones. So when your villagers pass away, they're going to be going inside the graves there. You have your graves, which you're going to get some story points for, which 2 for each occupation. So they do have, like I said, you get scoring points for those, and these are unmarked graves right here. But again, 9 for the 2-player game, 14 deaths, and then 18 for the 4-player game. And this is the rat track right here, so whenever it reaches here, you can potentially lose half your story points if they're not secured. But again, I'll go into that a little bit more. And then you have your Grim Reaper tokens here, which each player is going to get. Some more story points over there. So yeah, so that's kind of like, that's the main board right there. You'll see in the center. And this right here is the player boards. So every player will get one of these player boards here. And you have your town center. Story points can get placed here, but then they have to be brought back to your house to secure them. And if they're in a book like this, then they show that they're secured. If not, they're out here. So you'll get a pawn that'll go from here to here to bring them out and everything. And then along the sides here are where you're going to place your cards on the outsides here for your merchant, your tradesman, your traveler, your abbot, I guess they call it, your councilman, and then your farms are going to be over here. And you get different points by rolling these different combinations here. So you either roll a 3 or 11, and you can put somebody to school. So when a villager passes away, you're going to need to train a new one. So they go to a school here. And then here, if you roll a 5 or 6, you get to do this action, which is to tell a story in your town, and you get story points for that. But again, all the cards have 1 or 2 numbers on them, and it'll determine, you can do multiple actions at the same time, which is kind of neat. You'll trigger a chain, so you'll probably want to go for combinations of numbers and everything like that in order to score points there. And then this right here, this is your bridge. And then around here, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So every 10 time tokens that pass away, a villager will pass away. So you have to keep aware of that. And that is like you see, again, the timer in the game. All right, and then these right here, if you ever lose a certain amount of workers and you need temporary workers, they'll cost you story points too. All right, and then here, let's see, some more player boards, more story points. Let's see here. So, yeah, and then here's your starting player hand right there. And yeah, here's one of them. And here's the thickness here. Nice thickness though. The boards are nice and sturdy and everything. They feel nice in the hand. And more tokens. And then let's see what we have here. Let's get a little curled here. Not a big deal though. So take a look at this. So these are your nice scoring tokens right here. Scoring pads. So pretty easy once you learn it. Let's get a little curled there, but no big deal. Probably make some copies of those. Here are your cards right here. So we'll get into these a little bit. These are your travel cards. Let's take a look at these. So these are a little bit different size, so I'll have to get some different sleeves for these. So these are all your travel card. This is a travel card right here. So you'll start by seeing this right here, and then actually you start with this side. And then, depending upon, so this could be worth 6, 7, 8 points if you're traveling it. And then that's how many points it's actually worth. This right here is a Craftsman Card. So this is what you'll see. So you'll need a 5 to purchase this. Dice roll 5, and this produces beer. And then once you buy it for a, looks like a silver, well, 2-time. I think it's just 2-time, and it costs this one, but it'll produce a beer when you turn it around, and it can hold up to 3 beers. And again, you place those markers on there, and they'll 1 stands for a barrel of beer, kind of thing, and you can use them for various different things to fulfill contracts as well as some other uses there. So these are for beer. Here you can see this one requires an 8 to build, so an 8 to trigger to produce another one. And you notice each one of these, every time you produce, costs a time. Alright, so these are just some examples here. And these are a plow. You can build a plow, which you can use on a farm to increase your production there. These are scrolls you can produce. Some nice artwork. Different numbers here on the side that triggers the actions. And this is a horse. So you have a stable there. But these are nice and sturdy cards too. Your wagons. So some of the traveling actions require you to have a wagon. So you'll need to be able to produce that. And then these are the contracts right here. So this requires two barrels of a beer right here. Maybe, I think maybe possibly another random good. But if you fill those, you get these amount of points on them right here. So different contracts, and these require wagons, and you need to do a 2 or 12 in order to fulfill this contract, but you get 3 points when you flip it over. Yeah, so different contracts here, so you get tons of different contracts in here. Let's see here. Some they're worth different points. This is just any random good will give you 2 victory points. Yeah, so tons of these. I think these are going to fill out the rest of them. Yep. So lots of these. And again, these are just more your traveling cards there. Okay, so there's one stack there. And then I think you get another stack here. So these are your player aids. So very easy round there. Basically, you just place a story point on the first player token to make it more attractive to take. You roll all your die, and then you can take, you pick any 2, you pick 2 die. You can modify the die roll by 1 using this, by paying a coin. And here, if you take a black die, you get an increase thing, you can take 2 times, so somebody will die sooner. And then here it just tells you black banner actions are the main actions. You can take 1 black banner action, or you can take up to 3, 3 or more, I think it is. White banner actions, those are the actions you're going to add through contracts and goods and all that stuff in traveling. And then here is this will allow you to move your story points on your track right there, that thing right there. Because every time a plague happens, you can lose up to half your story points there. So you want to make sure that you secure them. And again, this is if you cross the bridge, just a reminder to move the Grim Reaper with you, and somebody will die at the end of that round. And then here is just if he does cross the thing, you have to roll the rat die. It's a chance at a plague there. So the symbology is very good in this game. I didn't have any issues with that at all. It seems like it's pretty straightforward to learn. So yep, so you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have your these are for building your churches here. Again, these will give you special powers right here. This gives you an ability to not have to do the to avoid the consequences of the plague a couple times if you have this built. And this one doesn't really give you special power, but it gives you victory points. And then this one will give you, I'm not sure exactly what that one does, but I think it allows you to pick 2 cards, Craftsman Cards, contract cards. And there's different powers, I said too. And so these are for your main churches. These are the different abbots you can hire. And they will give you, just help you extend your church. And each window you have in your church gets you more victory points. So again, I'm not going to really go into it that depth, but just give you a general thing about these. But these all have special powers on them, which is kind of cool. And they have different costs, as you can see. So tons of different cards here. And then these are your Councilmen Cards, which will give you different abilities. This one will give you a point for every exploration card you have, every Craftsman card, every contract you fulfill, and then every tile in your church, and finally every farm you have. So it's different powers on all these. And then these are the 212 modifier cards, which you can take one of these, and you can put a 212 token, you'll get a token, and you can put these on any one of your other actions, so it gives you more of a chance to get those actions. Albeit 2 and 12 are the hardest ones to get, but it still gives you more chances of getting those rolls, more dice combinations. And these are more council cards, and then you have your farm cards here, which these are produce goods, will produce money. So if you roll 11, you'll get a coin, and then if you have a plow on it, which you have to produce, you'll get 2 coins every time you roll that. So again, money is pretty tight in this game, so these are good to have. And then these are all your different travel cards. So you have A, B, C, D, and E cards. So you have different cards here. So these are worth 2, 3, or 4 points. So the 2 cards are worth low points, but they don't have many obstacles on them. But you'll notice here that, let's see here, that the 3 cards, you have to pay a coin now in order to go past this river. And this one is a 4, so this one you have to pay 2 coins to get past these guys, to bribe them, I guess. But then, you know, for each thing you do, like this is the B cards now, so now in order to do a B card, you have to waste 2 time, you have to pay a horse or 2 coin, so the costs go up as you go through it. So traveling can get expensive. So these are the B cards, and then you have your C cards here. So this is a 4-pointer, and then this is a 5-pointer, so this is going to cost you some time to get through that sheep. But again, it gives you victory points and stuff at the end to complete these tracks here. Again, these are more church cards here, more cathedral cards. And some of them give you special powers on them, some of them don't. For your base church, some of them are for your base church too, which you have to have in order to build extensions to it. Alright, so these are just about done, and then you have, you know, your more Councilmen Cards here. Alright, so that's pretty much it. That is it for with the cards. So let's see what else we got in here. So these are all your black ones here, are all just your multiple use good cards. So these are nice quality here. And then you have your just regular player tokens here and everything on the different tracks. They come in all the 4 colors, and red, like white, yellow, and blue. There, and then you have your dice, decent quality die, and your rat die there. And more plastic bags to put your goods in and everything, separate stuff out. And that is pretty much it. So that is Village by Stronghold Games. Going to be playing this today, so looking forward to doing that. Whoops. So that's it. So a decently priced game, affordable game, with some good mechanics in it, and looks like it's pretty simple to teach too. It's not a very high learning curve on it like some of my other games. I know I tend to get other games that have they're heavier, but this one's a little bit on the lighter side, I guess you could say. I did get 3 other games, 2 of them which came yesterday. Castell, which is a well, if you know what a Castell is, it's like a pyramid building game with human pyramids, which they do in Spain a lot. So that's that game I've really been looking forward to. And then a reprinting of a game called Pret-a-Porter, which is a heavy work replacement game in the fashion industry. And finally, Altiplano, which is a game similar to the Orleans game, which I did an unboxing for, where you have it's a bag place. You pull tokens out of bags, and you get different goods and different things. So that looked very interesting too, by the same makers of Orleans. So anyway, that is it. That is My Village by Inka and Marcus Brand and Stronghold Games. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and God bless, and we'll see you in the next unboxing video. Bye-bye now.